India today has been getting you all the images of the havoc and devastation from day one of the Russian invasion. Images on your screen show the most haunting images from the first day of the war until today. It's been 17 days of devastation, 17 days of grief in Ukraine. Continued to escalate on day 17 with Ukrainian forces giving a tough fight, not ready to relent. Air raid sirens and heavy shelling were heard in the outskirts of the capital of Kyiv. Overnight shelling and Russian airstrikes were also reported in the southern city of Ukraine. Several parts of Volnovakha in Donetsk city was also destroyed by the continuous bombardments of Russian forces. Second largest city of Ukraine, Kharkiv, is also under relentless bombardment from Russian forces. Several residents were seen taking shelter in metro stations. Visuals on your screen show the devastating aftermath of the attacks. Meanwhile, Ukrainian officials have alleged the mayor of Melitopol city, Ivan Fedorov, was kidnapped after he refused to cooperate with the Russian military occupying the city. Ukrainian President Zelensky has said the kidnapping of the mayor of Melitopol is a war crime against democracy and that the actions of the Russian occupiers will be equated to those of ISIS terrorists. Our Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan is getting us more details, and she joins us live right now from Kyiv, the capital city of Ukraine. All eyes, Geeta, on Kyiv today, given the situation the capital city really has found itself in, and Russia obviously has made its intentions clear about occupying the capital city. What is the latest situation as of now? Do get us the very latest.
Well, a strategic and systematic plan by Russia. This is an invasion, so it is a huge violation by Russia, but it continues. All through the night, we heard about 3 very huge explosions, not so far away. Which means it was in the capital region, that is Kyiv region, the Kyiv Oblast, and there are also reports of various cities having come under the Russian attack. Now, the very important point that you make of mayors over here are under severe threat. They are the most important, the senior most official of any region or any city. And over here, the mayors are under attack. All the pro-Zelensky, pro-government or government mayors are under attack. Why? Because they would slowly want to see mayors who are either pro-Russia or their own people put in place of these mayors. And that's why we saw a murder of one mayor kidnapped. And yesterday, when I was interviewing the mayor of Brovary, where a very huge gun battle was on and continues to be on, is another front that Russia has opened up. Midway, if you see Sneha, if you see the interview, midway, he was rushed away because of some security threat. So no mayor can stand. He'd come to assess the attack and the missile attack that Russians had carried out in an army hostel. And we were there. We were reporting that when he'd come. And he was rushed away immediately. That's how the threat is on mayors here in Ukraine, across Ukraine. And so they do not stay more than 5 minutes or 6 minutes, more than that, in any area because of the threat. The convoys are visible, and they certainly become sitting ducks. So huge threat for mayors, certainly a huge security scenario when it comes to the way the Russians are now trying to move in, or the kind of attacks that we saw last night, the kind of shelling that we heard, the explosions that we heard last night. They are increasing there. They are upping the ante when it comes to approaching Kyiv and maybe taking over Kyiv.
Approaching Kyiv and maybe taking over Kyiv, that looks possible. Geeta is reporting from the war zone. Geeta, you know, as far as Kyiv is concerned, like the other cities as well, the civilian and the residential areas were absolutely unspared. Do get us a sense of what's happening right now in Kyiv when it comes to the kind of attacks we've seen on residential areas, and how many people are right now living in bunkers. Many of them, like your reports have been suggesting, have been living in metro stations. Do tell us a little more about that.
Well, a lot of people have moved out of Kyiv city, and the ones who originally were from Kyiv or from the capital had moved out because they thought the capital was coming under attack. But when the outskirts of the capital city started coming under attack, the evacuations took place, and quite a few of them are now in the capital city because there is nowhere else to go. So there are a lot of shelters, bomb shelters. This is a post-Soviet state, so a lot of bomb shelters, and all the bomb shelters are filled up at night. So they do not really go and stay during the day because the shelling is concentrated in a few areas during the day. At night, they surely make it a point to go and stay in those shelters, Neha. Let me also point out that every time, we cannot go by the numbers and claims being made by either side when it comes to deaths, but we do know that every time there is an attack in a residential area, and we've been traveling too, and we saw that mostly it is announced. It is announced that this is the area that Moscow is looking at, that Russia is looking at attacking. So the evacuations begin way before the shellings begin, and that's why. The corridor that is used to evacuate people, although we see shelling happening very close to that area, those civilians are not targeted directly. So yes, there have been civilian deaths, but civilians directly have not been targeted.
The West has rejected Ukraine's request for quick accession to the European Union. This comes in the backdrop of European nations failing to provide any significant military help to Ukraine. Here is a detailed report.
It all started with Ukraine's growing proximity to the West. The war that has put world peace in the balance is now in its 17th day. The fall of capital Kyiv looks imminent, and Ukraine has been left to fend for itself. On Friday, the war-ravaged nation was once again let down by its European allies. The European Union has refused Ukraine's appeal for quick approval of membership.
The European Union is going to be much stronger with us, so that's for sure. Without you, Ukraine is going to be lonesome. We have proven our strength. We have proven that as at a minimum. So do prove that you are with us. Do prove that you will not let us go. Do prove that you indeed are Europeans.
Other than sympathy and moral backing, the West doesn't seem to have much to offer Ukraine.
We will make sure Ukraine has weapons to defend against an invading Russian force. We will send money and food and aid to save the Ukrainian people. And I will welcome Ukrainian refugees. We should welcome them here with open arms if they need access. And we're going to provide more support for Ukraine.
Ukraine had earlier given up on hopes of joining NATO after the military alliance stalled any decisions on its entry.
Партнери, якщо вони не готові брати Україну в НАТО, і якщо вони не готові брати Україну в НАТО через те, що Росія не хоче, щоб Україна була в НАТО, то є гарантії безпеки, напрацьовані спільні для України.
The Western nations' assistance to Ukraine is tailored to avoid direct confrontation with Russia. Humanitarian help is being provided. Arms and ammunition to defend are being supplied. But Ukraine's plea to impose a no-fly zone over its skies has been rejected, even though Poland proposed to provide Ukraine with MiG-29 fighter jets. It refused to hand over the MiGs directly to Ukraine, instead of asking for a third nation, preferably the United States, to do it. The US has rejected Poland's demand. The cost of war is rising. Ukrainian cities are facing unprecedented destruction. Casualties are mounting. While Russia is at the receiving end of the economic sanctions for starting the war, Western nations have failed decisively in helping Ukraine in its hour of need. Bureau Report, India Today.
Kharkiv's main museum, which once stood decorated, now remains in the realm of destruction as Russia gears up to launch more aggressive offensive. The museum scrambles to save collection, including popular artworks by many Russian artists as well. And now it struggles to preserve the artifacts, paintings amid heavy shelling in Ukraine's second largest city. Take a look.
This is Kharkiv's main museum. Staff are racing to get priceless artworks to safety as Russian forces pound the city with artillery and airstrikes. Many of them were created by Russian artists. Marina Falatova is head of the foreign art department there.
There are more than 25,000 items in our collection. Kyiv Fine Art Museum's collection is one of the biggest in Ukraine, one of the most valuable. It is simply the irony of fate that we should be saving Russian artists, paintings by Russian artists from their own nation. This is simply barbarism.
Moscow launched what it calls a special military operation in Ukraine on February 24th to destroy its neighbors' military capabilities. Ukraine and its allies call Russia's actions a brutal invasion that has killed hundreds of civilians and forced millions to flee abroad. The ornate museum building in Kharkiv is still standing, unlike many others in the city. Falatova and her colleagues were relieved that the art collection remained intact. But windows have been blown in by the blasts, making it impossible to control the temperature and humidity inside the gallery, vital for preserving the paintings. Falatova said this was where one of the museum's most prized paintings, Russian painter Ilya Repin's Reply of the Zaporozhian Cossacks, once stood. It has been taken down to be stored safely.
Repin's painting, basically, it should not be moved. Temperature or humidity conditions are not recommended. Any movement should be avoided. We treat it with great care, but there is not a single window intact in this room. Thank God there is no damage that no one can see, but the real damage we will only be able to assess in a peaceful time when it is calm. And of course, art restorers will look at all these works and it will be necessary to restore them.
Details of that report and much more is going up on our website as well. That is indiatoday.in. You can also download the India Today app. Thank you for watching.